Hey up, Noah Vortex here, doing another funny philosophy. Probably like the 20th now, I guess, or something. It's been going for a while. Um, in this one, I'm going to talk about the broad subject is going to be um, social media. Um, and I'm just going to sort of riff on the idea. And I have to. The whole point, if you've never seen these videos, is just that I have to challenge myself to talk for 20 minutes on any subject, whatever it may be, and talk as much shite as I can in 20 minutes about said subject. So, social media. It's a modern phenomenon. Only existed really for what, the last 15 years, really. Realistically, started with, really in the popular consciousness was MySpace, and then it's obviously taken a popular foothold of things like Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, all these other various apps. Instagram. And what is it really? I think on a very fundamental level, what it's about is, well, obviously it's instantaneous. So we instantaneously find out about what others are doing, and what others are doing becomes important. Now, for myself, as sort of an introverted, awkward sort of fella, which I am, I have a very mixed relationship with the entire uh, paradigm of social media because on the one hand, I find it interesting and in a way absurd and funny. On the other hand, it's very annoying because it becomes life becomes a pure thing about like what your connections are and all this sort of meaningless extroverted bollocks. Sort of how many friends you have, how many commonalities you have, and all that shit. And it feels on some level very superficial, and it is superficial. And I think we're all stuck in this sort of loop where because I rarely get into social media quite often, and but I'm on it. I'm still using these apps. I still have Instagram, Facebook, uh, even Twitter, and I think in terms of like the actual usefulness of these apps, people have just sort of accepted that they are the what the internet's about now. The internet 2.0 and all that stuff. It's like we've come to just accept that this is what the internet is now. It's about what connections you have. It's very superficial. It's metaphysical in a lot of ways. We are existing in these sort of meta spaces that we've invented. These metaphysical, definitely, well, certainly non-physical spaces where interactions take place as opposed to the real world, which is paradigm shifting because obviously for like the last history really, all of our interactions have taken place in the physical realm, whether it be your nation state, whether it be your individual sphere of experience, whether it be your individual psychology, etc., etc. And I guess in a lot of ways, this is why we live in an increasingly tribal world. Possibly, I mean, I'm positing that. I don't know if it's true. I'm just positing the fact that, well, I guess we've always lived in a tribal world. We define ourselves by our appearance or certain signifiers, I guess, that signify a certain belief, a symbol, and social media just accelerate that entire process, I guess. I mean, my relationship with social media is generally I try and I, I sometimes very very disconnected from it. Sometimes I engage with it more and sort of parody the whole thing because, in truth, I mean I'm not like a hermit, but I'm not a very social person. I'm sort of I feel sort of I don't know. I don't value superficial connections, which is what a lot of social media now is about. Whether it be even like professional connections, or whether it be very superficial ones, or like your family, which are very deep connections, or your friends, which are also really ideal deep connections. So I suppose I should talk a little bit about where I feel that social media could grow, or whether it could change. Where do we need to change it, or should we just accept that this is the way the world is now? It's a sort of extrovert's paradise of these sort of very superficial connections that we make with people, and a sort of group think in terms of like popular opinion, I suppose. That's another thing that's been really prevalent, I think, in our age, or modern age, is the sort of this sort of group think which has developed as part of social media, prelevated on social media. But anyway, I'm sort of rambling and being very general here. There's not really anything you can look at historically, so this is obviously going to be a very just me rambling in a camera kind of video. Yeah, so social media sort of feels like it's obviously, I mean, to state the obvious, it has positives and has negatives. Positives, as far as I can see them. It's good for organising, good for event management, good for getting certain like opinions out there, but that's a more complex area I'll go into in a bit. Good for just staying in touch with people, like knowing when people's birthdays are and stuff like that. But all the negatives, as often with a lot of these things, a lot of these positives come with a lot of negative traits as well. So, for example, being hyper connected to people is, I don't really necessarily think that that's a good thing. Now, I think any bond that you make with human beings, and whether it be friends, lovers, whatever, it has to be based on a real, in the ideal anyway, it should be based on a connection that occurs on a deep level. Now, social media, that entire process is sort of changed in a way, because there's a certain superficial veneer to the actual connection that you're making with people on there. I mean, it can bring people close together. Like, I hold my hands up, like I'm in groups of like internet forums or internet groups on Facebook. People, really interesting people in America, people who share my bipolar condition, and for that sort of thing, it can be brilliant. But those sort of functions were being, like sort of niche groups, if you will, were being fulfilled in the past by like message boards and things like this. So I don't think that's necessarily an argument for why social media is such a good thing. It's sort of, we waste too much time on it as well, let's be honest. I mean, waste perfectly good time when we could be doing something creative or something productive on applications which literally just represent a very boring, usually, portrayal of what people are up to. And talking further about like sort of narcissism, this self-obsession that human beings have with themselves, this just exaggerates that and makes it even worse, like probably 10 times worse than it ever was before. And given that we live in a consumer culture, which is, in a lot of ways, actually killing our planet, I sort of don't see what the usefulness is of a culture that perpetuates this sort of narcissistic, I am so important worldview on the world. Now, I'm not saying that individual human beings are not important. Individual human beings are very important, and they are the ones who actually drive progress. It's individual ambition and individual striving and even individual suffering that creates new paradigms, creates new modes of thought. But at the same time, we seem to drown in our navel gazing, and maybe I'm projecting a bit here, but I know for myself certainly that when I don't know, when I feel bored, I just start navel gazing on Facebook and posting up stupid memes when I could be doing something really productive. I could be spending 10 minutes starting to make a music track instead of 10 minutes scrolling through the infinite feed of Facebook and just being like, yeah, that's funny, that's funny, that's funny, sort of thing. So, yeah, this hyperconnectivity comes with a price, and I mean, I remember back in the day of MySpace, that was a very different sort of beast. That was more of a to Facebook even now, because obviously Facebook's a much more advanced platform. It's much more. It's just a wholly different platform. The whole platform of Facebook is worryingly also increasingly censored as well. But the whole platform of Facebook is very much about this sort of hyper-connectiveness to everything, everybody, even superficial connections that you made in your life. And obviously, I get that you have to like accept a friend request. It's not like you're forced to accept friends and anything like that. But it's made us we're sort of drowning in this data. We're drowning in this sort of network of information, which we still don't understand how it's affecting us psychologically. When you look at young people, they're like much more attached to their devices. And you know, I'm like millennial generation. I'm 33 years old, so we grew up with this technology, and it's evolved as we have grown and become adults. And so we sort of have an understanding of boundaries on those systems. And I'm not being alarmist here. I'm just sort of setting out like some sort of thing of where we're at. In terms of like younger people who are using these applications. Now I don't know what the answers to those questions are, and obviously any sort of solutions to just getting kids to go outside and sort of just make dens has to come from parents themselves, and yada yada. I don't know, I'm yabbering. I've sort of gone into a different sort of tangent here, but I'm not a Luddite. I mean, I like some of what this technology has done to bring us together. And I'm a web developer. I believe in developing for the web. I believe in the web. I believe in what the web is. It's a network of information to bring people close together, but not even just people close together. It's just get broaden the scope of knowledge and to put it out there. But the problem with, I guess, a lot of the social media now is that knowledge is sort of controlled. And there's already been reports about how Facebook's has a certain bias towards certain views or certain prescribed views, and also as well, I mean, I've had it myself where I've been banned off Facebook. One time I was banned because I posted about I posted a meme which featured Adolf Hitler, because someone on our Discord server was pretending to be Adolf Hitler. So I just said something like, when this guy comes on your Discord server, some joking post, banned for 2 weeks. I got banned another time for posting up a rap song, which was by, it's like a parody gay rapper. Some context, I can't remember where I posted that up, but it was literally a rapper taking the piss out of homophobic attitudes in rap, or and subverting, in other words. I got banned for that as well, because of language, I guess. And you just think, where is the place for satire and subversion in these systems? And when it comes to Facebook, it's just a really boring platform now. You can't, and I'm not like one of these people who's like 100% free speech advocate. I'm not. But at the same time, it takes the joy and the sort of fun of subversion out of these platforms, and it actually kills the platforms in the long run. Me relating this to like Alex Jones, for example, who I hate and I think is an absolute idiot, but he got banned off like YouTube, and it just gives. I mean, the whole thing of Alex Jones is that he's a conspiratorial nut, right? He's a nutcase, but it gives credence to his ideas. If you start banning people off platforms, it gives them credence, it gives them more incentive, it gives them more of a persecution complex. And I think this is a major issue. I know I'm stating the obvious, but I'm just going through 20 minutes of this stuff. We've only got 5 minutes left now, so this will be alright. Yeah, I mean, and I'm no better than anyone else. I spend too much time on social media. Sometimes I'm just bored and just sort of scrolling through the feed, see something interesting comes up. I spend way too much time on them, really, in all honesty. I mean, I spend plenty of times on actual life and things, creating my own creative work as well, but that feeling of wasting away is it's not a nice one. And I guess this is part of it. It's an existential conundrum, really. Our modern age has created this hyper-connected network of information that we all belong to now. But yeah, is it all for the good? No, obviously not. I mean, Instagram is such an annoying thing as well in a lot of respects now. I mean, I still post on there. I post my artwork. I post interesting things I've seen, I guess. But it seems that a lot of people on there are just literally posting for attention in the most superficial sense, I suppose. Wherever it be, Instagram models are posting the tits up or whatever. Or, I don't know. And obviously I can't say that I want to ban those things, because that in itself is just censorious and sort of ridiculous. And let me be honest, I mean, look, I like looking at tits. I like, I mean, I'm a pervert myself, so I like. I'm not going to go into this video and say, like, I don't agree with that. But I just think it's sort of ridiculous. But then I guess sex sells, really. So that's why, like, Instagram, Instagram models have like 5 million followers or whatever, just getting the tits out on their arse and stuff. Or whatever, or their abs, or whatever particular body they have. But it just says a lot about superficiality of our culture. But whether that will actually change, I highly doubt, given that culture, especially in the modern age, is driven by superficial things, corporatism, and sort of base level shit. I don't think that's ever going to change, and I don't think our internet system will ever change. I'm not. At the same time, like I said, I'm for liberty and for a freedom of the internet and for a free exchange of information on the internet. So I'm not calling for any of these things to be banned. That would be just reductive and absurd. I'm just sort of exploiting the complexities that come with that, I guess. But at the end of the day, we've got a few minutes, 1 minute left now. It comes down to responsibility, personal responsibility, self-control, putting down, if you've got like children and stuff, putting down common sense sort of like limitations on use, and never taking it too seriously. I think that's the worst thing you can do with social media. Like, I don't understand people who post, even though I'm posting a 20-minute video. I'm absolutely hypocrite. I don't understand why people post up like 30-minute rambling things on Instagram, even though I sort of did that earlier today because I was drunk. And that's my philosophical take on social media, because we've got 10 seconds left. Peace, fucking, and believe in whatever you want to believe in. That's the end of my video.